Now for your Lane United FC starting lineup. In net, number 18, Paul Cruz. Number 2, Connor Ramlow. Number 3, John Stadler. Number 8, Matthias Binder. Number 9, Nick Moon. Number 10, Willie Spur. Number 11, Anthony Macchioni. Number 12, Casey Chubfertle. Number 14, Gerard Hernando. Number 21, Glory Amanda. And number 26, Charlie Spur. And for your Foothills FC lineup tonight, in goal, number 1, Marco Carducci. Number 2, on defense, Dean Northover. On defense, number 3, Jordan Haynes. On defense, number 4, Dominic Zader. On defense, number 8, Bruno Zeeby. At forward, number 9, Moses Danto. Number 12, forward, Nico Pasquati. In midfield, number 14, Elijah Adekube. In midfield as well, number 16, Sergio Camargo. Number 17 at midfield, Tofa Fakunle. And on defense, number 24, Joel Waterman. Now, if you would please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthems.
Good evening and welcome to another night of USL PDL action live from Calgary, just outside Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Dave Stanish along for the ride with you one more time as the men take the field after the ladies had their tie last night, which we'll talk about later on. But returning to the Okotoks Foothills broadcast booth along with me from Sportsnet 960, The Fan, Ryan Pinder. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you, David. Good to chat. Always fun. It's been a while since we we've checked in on this club, a win one, lose one road trip, and excited to see how they look against Lane United today.
That's exactly right. Calgary comes into the matchup 4-1-1 after, as you said, a loss and in Vancouver on June the 1st, 2-1, and then a 2-0 win June 3rd last Sunday. A great response game in Seattle against the Sounders. Foothills FC in the white jerseys with the green horizontal stripes against Lane United from Eugene, Oregon. The University of Oregon is also in Eugene, and this team is in the red jerseys. They'll be playing left to right. Once again, Marco Carducci in net for Foothills FC, number 1 in the yellow, and starting in net for Lane United will be Paul Cruz, number 18, and he'll be in the black jerseys. Once again, Lane in red, United in Foothills in white, referees in blue, and Ryan and I in fluorescent orange. We're ready to go for another day of action here in USL PDL action. Calgary at the top of the table, 4 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Lane United 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. Only the top 2 make the playoffs, and only the top 1 gets to host that playoff game. So right now, despite the loss to TSS Rovers, it is, according to the league, they told us this, that it is goals for and against rather than head-to-head. So Calgary will start us off. The opening kickoff is underway, and here we go. Calgary traveling right to left on your video screen. Lane United in the red jerseys once again with the yellow numbers. Reminds me of McDonald's in 1985, I think.
Right.
And they'll be going left to right.
The goal differential being a tiebreaker, I think, is good news for Foothills. They're top the table in that specific category. The head-to-head loss to Rovers, certainly if that was going to be the tiebreak, that gives them a bit of an edge. Those two teams battling for top spot. And the interesting thing with Lane United, a victory here, they would be 3 back with a game in hand of Foothills, so big match for them today.
And that one a field goal, but over the crossbar. So in November that'll count, but not quite yet. Of course, the ball will be shaped a little bit differently. Okotoks Foothills Composite High School is where we are located here for the men's action this year. Of course, the women's play at Calgary Soccer Center. We hope you were there with us last night on the broadcast, and we'll be there tomorrow afternoon in the hurricane that's supposed to hit 30 to 40 millimeters expected against the LA Galaxy. And if you're going to come to the game, bring your raincoat. We have a very rapid wind here, as you can see that ball being taken away out of bounds on the near touchline. Very strong right to left wind, and we'll see how that affects the game so far over these 90 minutes.
Foothills will have it directly behind them for this first half, and we'll see what happens. We do seem to be on the edge of a weather system. Great clouds in the background, but under sun here, so who knows? It's Calgary. Wait 5 minutes if you don't like the weather.
Yeah, the sun's been sneaking out and sneaking back in behind the clouds for the last hour or so, so we'll see how long these shadows last here on the near side. We're right beside the camera, so we're seeing what you're seeing, and a good crowd starting to build up here, as it's going to be Gerardo Hernando trying to win the battle against 3 white jerseys, and he'll accomplish that. Tofa Fakunle knocks him down, but wasn't too happy about it.
Interestingly, these clubs, 3 matches last season, all draws, including 2 in Calgary, which is some pretty good work from Lane United on the road, as Calgary's been close to perfect at home over the last 3-4 years.
Only 1 loss. A lot of ties, but only 1 loss in the history of PDL action here in Calgary, or close to Calgary as we are. We're about 5 minutes south of South Calgary, and about a 15-minute drive from where Cavalry FC will play next year in the CanPL. I imagine we'll talk about that a bit in the next 90 minutes. But Lane United will send the ball once again into that hardcore wind in front of the audience.
Yeah, I had the commissioner of the CPL on my show Friday morning to chat about some league news, and it wasn't going to come out and say things as fact, but certainly alluded to a lot of things which we can get into as the broadcast goes on.
I'm going to have to find that archive and check that out. Going all the way through.
How's that?
Sorry?
I'll send you the link at the half.
Excellent. There you go. Have something to listen to on the way home. And Nico Pasquati with a great center field throw-in, and I talked to Tommy during the week, Tommy Wilden Jr., the head coach of Foothills FC, and he said that set plays are something that they can control despite any weather, despite any ground conditions, and that long throw-ins are a very, very valuable part of their arsenal and a big part of their playbook. So we'll see that get used during the contest. Obviously, Pasquati has 2 assists from throw-ins, as we saw earlier this season. And the first goal against Seattle, I don't know if you caught the highlights, Ryan, but
yes.
it was an own goal by Seattle. Pasquati's throw-in was back-headed by one of the Seattle backliners and into his own net. That gave Calgary the 1-0 lead, and they're looking for another one here. And that's punched out smartly by Paul Cruz off Tofa Fakunle's right leg.
Fakunle gets in and is a guy that's immensely well liked as a teammate. He's been around for a long time with Foothills and this U23 outfit. Good to see him hop in.
Another set play coming up for Foothills FC. 4 big injuries we'll talk about that are limiting this roster and needing it to expand. Ali Musi, Kyle Jones, Nick Ledgerwood, and Jonathan Wielden all out, not even available on the subline. But if you're following live, we'll talk about it in a second. The Wind caught that one. Great job by Pasquati, but Lane saw that one and limited the damage. And the wind is really playing a factor with both of these teams here in just the first 5 minutes.
It will. It's significant. This is not a breeze. This is a steady, strong, blowing wind right from the back of Foothills into the lane's end.
This time it's a throw-in, punched out by Cruz, number 18 in black. And Cruz having some early work. Seattle's game against Foothills FC on Sunday featured only about 3 shots per team. TSS Rovers, the matchup on Friday night, was 12 shots per team. So maybe all the shots will be for Foothills in the first half and all the shots for Lane in the second half, which means Calgary has to take advantage of it. Normally, in the other kind of football, Ryan, they want the advantage of the wind in the second half, in the fourth quarter,
sure.
not at the beginning here. So interesting strategy from Tommy Wielden. Obviously, there's different ways to score in football, the other football. This one across, no one there to capture it from Foothills FC in the white. But they're going to continue the pressure here, trying to go high and find Moses Danto, number 9, along with Tofa Fakunle, number 17, involved, as well as Bruno Zeeby. That one will go across, but referee blew that one down, and Lane trying to make some hay while the sun shines and the wind is in their faces.
Cruz, the netminder, has been identified as someone that's clearly a big player for them, impactful. If the name Paul Cruz is familiar, no, he's not the pro hockey player that amassed nearly 2,000 penalty minutes and spent time playing here in Calgary. If there was any confusion, David.
I think the other Paul Cruz would be a little bit too old. There are 8.
47 or 8 now, I believe. Yes.
Each team is allowed 8 overagers. Of course, the PDL is a primary U23 league, but within the 18 players, each squad is allowed to have 8 players that are 23 and older. But obviously, it's primarily, it's what's the D for? Development. The Premier Development League, unofficially the 4th division in the United States. And we thank all the Oregonians who might be tuning us in, supporting Lane United. But if you're following Foothills FC's Twitter tonight, Nick Ledgerwood, who's somewhere in this field level, is in control, and they said be prepared because Nick's planning to have a lot of fun on the Foothills FC Twitter feed. So if you're not a subscriber, go and get it because he plans to have a lot of fun, win, lose, or draw tonight. So he's out and he doesn't want to be out, but hopefully a few of those players will be back for their 3-game road trip Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And we'll talk about Lane's future and past as we go here in the 90 minutes.
Ledgerwood, a big part of this Foothills FC team with a huge number of caps, dozens and dozens for Canada. He's clearly their most experienced and one of the more valuable parts on this team. They'll miss him today.
Joel Waterman to Elijah Adekube. Midfielder playing a little bit back. Back and forth with Danto, trying to make a give-and-go situation, but once again, the wind caught that ball. You can hear Tommy Wilden shouting instructions. Let's just tell you about the lineup. Cruz is the goaltender, number 18. Casey Chubfordall, John Stadler, Connor Ramlow, and Charlie Spur are the back line. Nick Moon, Matthias Binder, Willie Spur, and Gerard Hernando. Midfield, Anthony Macchione and Gloria Amanda are the strikers.
Not a ton happening here early for either side. One chance for Foothills out of the gate over the bar, and a missed header in a crowded box. That's it thus far. We were stark in contrast to the starts they had against Timbers 2 weeks ago here on the same pitch. Last home action for Foothills FC. All kinds of opportunities early in both those contests.
This is Foothills' 5th home game, and with each week that goes by, the field improves. There's still the dirt section in the middle, but we're being told by the field staff that they're working on it all the time, and obviously this rain we're going to get in the next 36 to 48 hours should certainly help, but they won't be back again until for a couple of weeks. But after tonight we're going to be halfway through the year, halfway through the home schedule. It'll be more on the road than at home for Foothills FC coming up. Nice knockdown for number 2 for Calgary. That's Dean Northover, another addition to this roster since the last home game. Cutting through, Gerard Hernando stopped up, and he has to force the ball backwards, and Calgary will win that race. Dominic Zator once again trading it back and forth here. 10 minutes in, no 0-0 the score. I guess we're going to be in I was going to say we're not going to have a lot of home games left, Ryan, but we're going to be in soccer mode for the next month or so, starting on Thursday.
That's right. Yeah, excitement will continue to ramp up.
Can't wait to see the bars open at 6:45 a.m. for some of those games. It's going to be a lot of triple headers. I guess you'll have it on during the morning show and be able to keep people up to date live with what's going on.
Yeah, you mentioned Dean Northover coming back. That's a guy who's back from injury and has played, I think, 42 games at this level. That's a big returnee from injury for Foothills, and decent timing as well, as they've lost Wheeldon and Ledgerwood to injuries on that back line.
Marco Carducci with his first touch of the game of any real significance. Calgary looking to build from the back.
You can see lane's going to be very difficult to penetrate. This is a group that's happy to leave 8 men back there, 2 solid back lines, and
trying to cut through. Danto was onside, but well done by Paul Cruz to intercept that ball and calm down the action.
Danto's the team leader in goals. He's got 4 this year as well as an assist. He's someone certainly that Lane United will be well aware of.
That one gets stopped up in the wind just past the halfway line. Bruno Zeeby headed it forward. And here goes Lane United. Casey Chubfordall, number 12. Gets stopped up and forced to go backwards. Lane United 2-2-1. They actually beat TSS Rovers 4-1 in their season opener, so they defeated the team that Calgary has lost to. However, I think TSS probably made several, not to take anything away from Lane, but I think TSS made several adjustments between May 14th and June 1st to overcome Foothills FC and get those first 2 goals. Danto's penalty kick preventing Calgary from being shut out. They have a goal in every game, which is extremely important, as we talked about, the goals for and against scenario. So
I believe they're +6 in goal differential, and that's the top of the table. So if that's your tiebreak, that's good news. You hope you need it in one sense, or maybe you don't. Maybe you think you can run away with this thing.
Not a lot of teams in the 74-team PDL have a goal, at least one goal in every game. That throw in, lobbed up. bringing it down. 26, Charlie Spur, quickly surrounded. Well done by Jordan Haynes to steal that ball and clear it away. Danto will cover, and now it's a chase and a race. Going down is Ramlow, and that's going to be a foul against Moses Danto.
You can see how physical Danto is. He's just a big man who is awfully difficult for defenders to handle, never mind defenders smaller in stature or size.
Of course, Tommy Wilden, not only the coach of this U23 PDL squad, but is going to be the coach and the technical director of Cavalry FC in the Canadian Premier League. And so he's wearing two hats today, and any little bit of news about roster creation, Ryan, that the commissioner may have given you yesterday?
Well, just to allude to the fact that this is going to be a Canadian league that's focused on developing Canadians, and what that means is they're not going to be a ton of imports, which, is not the case for all leagues you'll see specific to Canada. Even the CFL, you're allowed a ton of imports for American football, but what we're going to see that he alluded to was at least 50% of a roster and at least 50% of the field at all times, and that would be a minimum, so it could be significantly more than that, but those are his thoughts Friday.
Of course, Canada, the only country in the FIFA top 100 rankings without its own domestic league. And of course, if you want to find out the history of Canadian professional soccer, it's not a very glorious one, but the information is out there if you want to read it. It's quite an interesting tale to tell. Somebody's got to write that book.
Well, and there's been established and successful teams in Canadian markets, but never in an all-Canadian league. And I think clearly the three MLS markets are thriving.
Another tremendous throw-in, taking advantage of the wind. Danto, it went off of his head, and his touch was the last touch, so it'll be a goal kick for Paul Cruz. But you were saying, Ryan.
Yeah, also Ottawa and Edmonton have long histories in American leagues, but I would suggest both of those teams. Certainly, we heard the announcement this week on Edmonton. Perhaps Ottawa follows. They'll be into the CPL and with established rosters that have been competing at high levels. So for the first time, at least in a long time, there'll be a highly credible Canadian-only league.
Well done indeed by Tofa Fakunle, 17. And Calgary trying to find an opening, but it's kind of a 3-on-7 right now. Calgary's got to try to cut through the hole, and that was a great attempt. Well done. Looked like Pasquati, number 12, got a piece of that, and Paul Cruz has been busy. 16 minutes into the contest. Looking deep for Amanda, along with Gerard Hernando for Lane United in the red.
You can hear the foot soldiers starting to get their chanting going in the beer gardens. I think that means the first few pints are down, David.
I believe you're right. Unfortunately, the beer has to stay in the beer gardens. Hernando. Macchione playing on his opposite side. Barely keeps it in. Not what Waterman thought. We need to have a microphone over there, a portable microphone, just to pick up some of those songs and chants that they're going to have.
They're not going away. I think you might bigger and louder with each passing game, I'm sure.
Hopefully the broadcast booth at Spruce Meadows is somewhere near the supporters section in 2019 for the Cavalry. Well,
next April, play begins.
We'll
that will be
can't wait.
An exciting time for this sport in this country.
Bit of a mishandle there from Ramlow, but Moses can't take advantage. And it's going to be dropped in. Once again, some great coverage for Zator and Waterman, the center backs. And Northover will send that all the way through. And Calgary a lot more careful defensively here. They've been caught a couple of times napping a little bit. That cost them against Portland at the end of that game on May the 27th. And even at the end of the first half, in the first half of the doubleheader here in Okotoks on May the 25th. So defensive awareness and wanting to make sure that Lane doesn't have a lead without the wind, because more than likely they'll have the majority of the pressure with the wind in the second half. Foothills FC taking absolutely no chances. Pasquati, who's been very busy so far, working one-on-one, trying to cut it through. The only one there.
Couldn't find
a
Danto.
Lane United player, yeah. I think Lane United knows that Danto is the man that his teammates are looking for most.
Yeah, wind's about 30 kilometers out of the southwest here, so significant. That's around 20 miles an hour, if my math's close, maybe a little less.
Kick out, and a big dive by Cruz to knock away the input from Bruno Zeeby, number 8.
Another good chance for Foothills. They're starting to collect those scoring chances now. We'll have a corner to the right side of the netminder.
Sergio Camargo, he scored against Seattle. After his red card was rescinded, that I was watching the archive of that game from 2 weeks ago, Ryan, where they had the dueling red cards where Camargo got thrown away, and Tommy told me after the game, he said we're probably going to send in the film so that they can see that 2 red cards weren't deserved, and the league agreed. Camargo's red was rescinded, so they wasn't suspended for the next game after that all that physicality in front of the Portland Nets 2 weeks ago when we were here.
Yeah, the stomp of a foot worthy of a red card, but Camargo's response was not, in my opinion.
Of course, Lane is in third place in the league, right in the division right now, 2-2-1. Portland 2-3-1. Victoria, who's had a reasonable last couple of weeks, 2-5, and Seattle has fallen down. They are 1-3-2. Calgary will go to Seattle on Wednesday, as they're going to be very, very busy in the next 10 days. We'll talk about that later in the contest. 21, Glory Amanda, as a beach ball goes into the crowd, into the playing surface for a moment.
It's been retrieved and taken off by a young Foothills supporter.
The kids section balls get, the wind is an issue when the kids section balls are getting involved. Very good crowd here tonight. About the same as we've seen for previous games. Hernando all the way over.
A little flip through the box, couldn't connect. Carducci followed that the whole way through and was wise to let that land out of play rather than try to poke that back into play.
Almost halfway through the half, no score. Whether you're live or on the archive, we thank you very much for joining us. And if you are live, we'd like to see that YouTube live chat room really active. Give us your thoughts, and especially where you're watching from. That would be even better. That one sent all the way through. They were looking for Pasquati on the far side.
There's the wind again, and that's a pass that probably connects at their facility indoors with no wind earlier this week.
The corner flag's literally falling down before the game started, and it looks like some weights have been added to a couple of them just to keep them in the air. And Calgary will win that battle. Pasquati again, probably the busiest man on the pitch right there until maybe that moment where Paul Cruz may be taking over the lead.
Yeah, it seems a cross to the middle is going to be what likely creates the best chances for Foothills, the way that Lane seems to be defending and content to have a lot of men back. And that's what we've seen a few times, trying to find Danto for a header in the box via a cross in from the side.
Dominic Zator wanted to go back to the goalie, but saw he was quickly surrounded by Macchioni and Amanda. And Calgary slowing this pace down. I don't think they want to push the wind advantage too much in order to create something that may turn into a mistake or a turnover, and put too much pressure on the idea that they have to score in the first half, because Lane's going to have the advantage in the second. That's what good coaching's all about. Adapt to the conditions no matter what they are, and make them play your game no matter what wind advantage there might be for the opponent. And right now, Lane seems to be the reactor rather than the leaders right now.
Yeah, Foothills has done a really good job. You remember, this is at altitude. This is on a natural pitch, which is not what all teams have in the Northwest Division. This has been a very good home field advantage, and that often means, yes, you are dictating the tone and the pace of play.
Lane United 2 positive results in their last 2 matches. May 27th, a tie in Seattle against the Sounders, and then June 1st, a 3-2 win over Portland. So they haven't played in 9 days. Calgary, it's been 6. And a drive by Camargo, getting through 4 now men, including one who thought he should have been tripped up. Danto goes down in front of the box, no call either way. You hear the response from the crowd. And Lane United quickly wants to get the ball out of the way.
It's quite the run from Camargo, my goodness.
Yeah, he's
weaving in and out of red jerseys before yielding the ball to Danto, who was surrounded and taken down.
Yeah, he took the first man out, and that guy complained that that should have been a foul. And then before anyone noticed, Camargo got through 3 or 4 other guys and almost set up Danto there. Amanda drops it off. Looking to go far side. All the white jerseys on the far side. That left Spur and looked like Hernando by themselves. They just couldn't, their teammates just couldn't get it to them here on the near side. Calgary overloaded to the right there for a moment. Charlie Spur, 26 in red. Back to Ramlow, back to Cruz.
Good pressure from Fakunle there. It's a couple times we've seen that this evening, really forcing the issue with some of these lane defenders.
They find the ball to Macchione, who'll work with Willie Spur, along with Charlie Spur. Good shoulder contact from Joel Waterman to limit that opportunity. And it'll be a throw-in for Foothills on the defensive half. 26 minutes in, no score. Some good action here. If you've missed any of it, great thing about YouTube Live, you can rewind and watch from the beginning.
Long ball there from Waterman looking for Pasquale. That one did not work. Piscotti is going to be a central feature this evening, trying to get that ball in behind this lane defense.
With Musi and Jones missing, his importance increases all that much more. They're going to go across. They were looking for Macchione, but too high for him, and almost that ball right into your living room, but not quite. I was covering a baseball game one time in the press box in Calgary, and the ball went through a window on the far side, literally rolled to the right about 10 feet right to me, and I'm just like, I had my window closed. I'm like, I'm the last person in this building who should have a souvenir, but I got one.
It's good fortune, my friend.
Well, then another guy said, hey, can I look at it for a second? Sure. Never saw him again. That went across and long out for Lane United. The closest chance Calgary's had so far.
Piscotti, nice run there. Nearly got that through to an open man in front.
Hernando sends it ahead to Amanda. That ball off of Calgary, off of Joel Waterman, who's had a lot of work to do, along with Jordan Haynes, number 3, on the near side, left side to Carducci's left. Monster throw in here. Knocked down by Calgary first. Well done by Charlie Spur. And Calgary seems to be responding to any centering passes Lane is making, Ryan. Boy, these teams are starting to get really aggressive. Not wasting any time, trying to keep the pace as fast as they possibly can. Of course, when it comes
battle
to
down the right there with Piscotti and the two lane defenders he's been faced with. And it's the foul call, giving Lane the ball here, just 15 feet their side of half.
Of course, Lane would love to have a goal here in the first half.
Who wouldn't?
Against the wind. Macchione. That one rolled out by Foothills. And Lane United from Eugene, Oregon will maintain possession. Calgary knocking that down, north over. Sending it through. Bit of a pull there, and Calgary will win that battle. Sergio Camargo wins the argument. And Calgary will begin again. Jordan Haynes on the near side. Sending it all the way through, looking for Camargo, but once again, no luck with the quick advancements.
Yeah, there's been a few of those attempts to get the ball up to the forwards that have just, frankly, just been too firm. With the wind behind them, it seems they haven't quite figured out the pace needed on a ball to keep it within receiving range of some of these forwards.
Another ball caught up in the wind. A little calmer than before, but still meaningful. Considering what the forecast is telling us for tomorrow, but for the women's Foothills FC against the LA Galaxy, this is going to be like a parade compared to what we're expecting tomorrow.
No score here. We're in the 31st minute. A one-game weekend for Foothills FC here at home.
Of course, as we said, they have the three-game stretch, the Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, but you look at the schedule, everybody has one of those significant three-game stretches, so just the way the schedule is squeezed into such a short period of time. Loose in front in the penalty area, nobody there for Foothills FC, and now it's a race on the outside. Well done, kept in by Elijah Adekube.
Looked like he was about to tumble over, but still found a way to win that ball.
Exactly. Spur. I think these players want to keep the ball down to be able to control and handle the wind, but the balls go higher than they expect. And then they're more out of control and open for either team to take advantage of at any moment. Charlie Spur. Hernando surrounded by White. They'll kick it back out. Chuck Fertal in there as well. Close throw in for Lane United. Willie Spur in there. That one's kicked through. No touches, no saves for Carducci so far today. He's touched the ball a couple of times, but no more than that.
Adekube escorted that ball to the sideline, cleverly hanging around, but making sure it did get out of play. That leads to the Foothills throw in here.
A little bit of pushing between Zeeby and Charlie Spur. Excuse me, Danto. And Danto wins that battle. Camargo can't handle the footwork. Will drop it off. Pasquati from the right, trying to find a lane, and is wide behind the net.
A little high and looked like it missed short side as well. You can see Moses Danto getting physical with the defenders. That whole sequence set up by him winning a battle.
He's had a couple of penalty kicks here at Foothills Composite High School, just based on winning those physical battles, and the other player pulling him down in the penalty area, necessitating the penalty kicks. Of course, he hasn't had tremendous success on the penalty kicks this season. Watching some of that U.S. Open Cup on Tuesday and Wednesday, a couple of the games either were like 3-0 or they went into penalty kicks. Just some tremendous action. Chicago and Columbus, I think, was 12 or 13 rounds of penalty kicks, so it was quite interesting to watch. Cincinnati and Minnesota had penalty kicks as well. That one across. Amanda can't handle it, and cleared quickly by Joel Waterman, who's looked very, very good so far in this first half. Some fancy footwork there from Charlie Spur, and it'll be kicked out to Matthias Binder, number 8. Stadler, number 3, in there as well. He's one of the center backs. Calgary trying to intercept, take away, and they do just that. Kept in. Zeeby brings the player down, and he gets a yellow card at the 34-minute mark. First card of the day for Bruno Zeeby, number 8 in white for Foothills.
Could hear him scream as he got that boot to the ankle.
Tommy Wilden's tendency has been to substitute out the yellow cards late in the second halves. However, that's really the first big issue of the game for either team. That quick kick, handled well by Marco Caderci, not everything that looked like Nick Moon wanted on that one.
Yeah, he didn't get what he wanted for sure. That's a bit of a slow roller in rather than the turn and fire he wanted.
Well, we've seen that Portland game, we had 5 yellow cards in the first 25 minutes, so this is quite the different mood tonight.
Okay. Those are probably, so if they let us know, because they'll make it back to them, right? So.
Sent through. Once again, trying to feed Moses Danto. No luck for him. Danto along with Fakunle and Pasquati. Another great reception of the ball for Joel Waterman. Across to Haynes. 36 minutes down, 9 to go here in the first half.
No music at half?
No substitutions so far tonight. We'll see what happens at halftime. We'll come back at the beginning of halftime with the subs and the stats story. Tofa Fakunle makes a move. Lane didn't like the no call, but that impressed the audience.
Danced around a defender brilliantly, and then his shot attempt off a shin and out, and then Lane dispatching the ball all the way down the field rather than leaving it for a throw-in, and Foothill's not too pleased with that.
Pasquati playing his off wing, but that's how valuable he is for throw-ins, no matter what side of the field the ball is coming in from. Over everyone's head. Lane got the first touch, and getting knocked down from behind is Atakube.
That's going to be a kick. This is a big opportunity for Foothills here.
Glory Amanda seemed to hurt himself trying to handle that ball as the collision with Atakube brings him down.
It's an interesting story. He from Edmonton and has been part of the Foothills FC, or excuse me, the Whitecaps FC residency for the last few years. The Albertan playing for the enemy.
Well, with Edmonton, the incredibly original Edmonton or FC Edmonton name this week for the guys up north. It'll be interesting. I mean, which team would he play for? Which team would Stephanie LeBay play for? Did you ask the commissioner about that? About Stephanie?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're outraged.
No, of course not. But you only have limited time, so.
Well, there's a lot of designations and what sort of rights are you going to have? What kind of players will be categorized from different groups? There's a lot to unfold on the player front.
Danto through the wall and held on. Well done by Paul Cruz. He caught it, fumbled it for a moment, but grabbed it. And even the crowd here was impressed with that sequence. Yeah, I think if we sat down with the commissioner, we'd probably ask him questions for about 2 hours rather than the few minutes that you had with him yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you had to turn off the mics and have a few beers with him, I think you'd learn a lot about what's going to happen between now and April of 2019.
Yeah. Winnipeg Valor. Great name, great logo. Can't wait for them.
It's not velour
year.
like the fabric? Just checking.
Another military tribute, just like Cavalry FC. Of course, Halifax Wanderers, FC Edmonton, and we have
York
yet to hear
was the
York
first
9.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We have yet to hear officially from Vancouver Island, although we're speculating Port City is going to be their name and that they'll play in Burnaby.
It sounds like it's going to be Vancouver Island, and it will be in a suburb
Victoria.
of Victoria, not Burnaby, which of course is the suburb of Vancouver. The commissioner didn't do much to distance himself from those rumors on Friday, saying it's probably something that should be able to get worked out. Even mentioned a location for the team in Victoria.
Port City was outside of Vancouver was the initial talk, and then going to Victoria, going to the island was ended up being what
it's a brilliantly
the real
vague
thing
name.
ended up. So the rumors were wrong for the first time ever, Ryan. Rumors were wrong. It was going to be on the island rather than on the mainland in the greater Vancouver area. So a lot of choices for soccer fans in that area. Of course, the TSS Rovers play out of Swangard Stadium in Vancouver. And Calgary Foothills FC will be there on Friday night. And then they'll be in Victoria against the Highlanders on Sunday. So a lot of choices for Victoria fans as well as players on the mainland. Of course, there's that team that plays at BC Place. Go check them out.
It sounds like interest in the CPL continues to grow beyond their own expectations. The commissioner said 23 markets have expressed considerable interest in joining the league, not out of the gate, which he thinks will be an 8 to 10 team league next year, but in the next 3, 4, or 5 years, and that 2 divisions with relegation and promotion wouldn't be crazy to have by the time we're in that 2026 World Cup.
Did he comment on Baltimore, Shreveport, Birmingham, or San Antonio?
That's some very good CFL trivia. Rusty, but very good.
Of course, there's going through, knocked down. Calgary looking for a call, once again looking for Danto, and he ends up on the ground. But basically another set play where the ball goes over everyone's heads. Of course, minor league football in the United States apparently is going to, in the spring, explode with the AAF and the XFL in 19 and 20. That should be interesting. The wind calmer, but not dead by any means.
It has settled down. It's a good point, David.
42 minutes into the contest, still no score.
And perhaps that's why Tommy Wheeldon takes the win in the first. It might not be there in the second.
Very true. That might be exactly what happens. We should have checked in with our 660 News weather reporter before we signed on tonight to find out exactly what the long-term forecast was for the evening.
Foothills has their own meteorologist, right?
There you go.
On staff, on payroll.
Faked it to Danto. And that one stays in bounds. Gloria Amanda out. That one might have almost... Hernando had to be careful to make sure it didn't go off his arm. And it'll be Jordan Haynes with another throw-in right below us here at Foothills Composite High School. Thank you very much for joining us. And for the Foothills fans watching live or on the archive, don't forget you can go to uslpdl.com on each game day to get the links to the broadcast in Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria. Watched a bit of the games last weekend and very impressed with the guys from Seattle and Vancouver. They did a fantastic job. Can't wait to check it out next weekend. Of course, Lane United will travel to Portland on the 14th, this Thursday, and then be back in Seattle on Sunday, the 17th. So both teams either on the road or about to begin a long road trip. Of course, Calgary opened the season with 4 consecutive home games. In May against a sweep of Victoria, and then 4 out of 6 points against the Portland Timbers.
Just over a minute until stoppage time here in the first half, still scoreless.
No indication from the fourth official about added time to this point. I wouldn't expect much to be added, to be completely honest. Haynes on the near side. Great 1v1 battle there. Forces him to go backwards. Nice job by Hernando. And now they'll try the right side of the field. Pasquati with the ball at the moment. In there with Dean Northover. Now back to the left. Tofa Fakunle was there by himself. Yeah, we're going to have 1 additional minute added to this first half. And it's been a lot, it's been pretty even, pretty 50-50s in the last half hour, I would say. No real work for Marco Carducci to do, but Paul Cruz has been asked to do a lot less than perhaps the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, I think the first half, you'd think possession might be somewhat close, but the scoring chances have piled up on the Foothills side of the ledger.
We're
3
now
or 4 really good looks.
That was the issue with the women's team last night. They scored 2 goals, but came so close over the bar to the left and to the right of each post. They could have easily had 2 or 3 more last night in that 2-2 draw against the Colorado Pride, who showed a lot of pride in being down 1-0 and being down 2-1 and finding the openings they needed to escape with a point. That one couldn't be taken advantage of by Hernando and sent to the far end. Into extra time here in the first half is when the women scored their goal last night. Nick Moon tried to prevent a duplication of that. Well done to send it through, and Haynes forces Carducci, but that is the first half. 45 down. Calgary cannot take advantage of the wind. And we are scoreless after 45, Ryan.
Yeah, a couple good opportunities for Foothills early on. You think of a few good saves as well that the netminder has come up with, which clearly keeps this game scoreless. As for Lane, this is kind of what they're known to do, right? This is a team that had 3 draws against Calgary in 3 games, including 2 last year in Calgary. So probably what you expected, not an all-out offensive barrage so much as sitting back and being patient.
Well, we talk about it in other sports. It's playing the ideal kind of road game, and that's what Lane seems to be doing right now. Is they're not dictating the pace, but they're playing that boring road game style that isn't going to be too flashy. But if they can sneak a goal in here or there, especially with the wind advantage in the second half, that's exactly what they're going to try to do. All right, we're going to take a halftime break. We'll be back with the stats and the subs at the beginning of the second half.
Big Rock Brewery and GFL for the beer.
Cheer on your
some noise for your Foothills FC!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Stanish and Ryan Pender back with you here for second half action. And according to the officials, no substitutions for either team at halftime. Obviously, the teams have switched sides, and as you possibly predicted here, Ryan, the wind has calmed down, so there's no significant advantage right this second for Lane United. We'll see what happens the next 45. Lane from Eugene, Oregon in red with the yellow numbers, traveling right to left. Calgary with the white jerseys with the green horizontal stripes, traveling left to right, and we return to action with no scores on the board.
Yeah, interesting. The backdrop, if you're watching the first half, they're big gray storm heads in the background. That is now bluish sky, and that is Calgary weather. You'd have
Absolutely.
30-kilometer-an-hour winds in the first half and almost nothing here to start the second half, and it seems to be only getting calmer.
Looking for Macchione, too far for him, and it'll roll through. It'll be a goal kick for Marco Carducci in the yellow jersey. Looking at the halftime stats, Carducci 1 save on 1 shot. Paul Cruz 4 saves on 5 shots. Corners, Calgary had 4. Lane did not have any. Calgary 8 fouls, including the yellow card. Lane United 4. Calgary offsides 1. Lane United none. So a lot of offense, but a lot of fouls too, which sort of evens it all up.
Finishing chances, that'll be the theme here. We recall the last time we worked together, David, was a second half where Foothills couldn't find a second goal, only to watch a late equalizer.
Sergio Camargo trying to cut it through, and Paul Cruz in the black grabs it and holds on. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. That's
Saturday
what it's all about.
Draw against Timbers. Numerous chances. They could only capitalize once. It happened to be on a penalty kick or the rebound of one.
Yeah, the rebound of that penalty kick on this. Actually, the rebound was on the Friday game. From Moses Danto.
Friday,
but they got the goal on game 2, May 27th, and then gave up the goal in the 5th minute of extra time in the second half, so like the 95th minute. And Portland stole 2 points away from Calgary, and Calgary would be more or less 5-1. Of course, their attitude would have been different heading into Vancouver, but undefeated rather than with a draw. But that was then. This is now, of course, Calgary 4-1-1, leading the standings in the Northwest Division. They'd like to be hosting round 1 of the multi-round playoffs. They'd like to be hosting several rounds in the Western Conference, but you have to finish first. Didn't help Tampa Bay very much, but Washington was able to make the adjustments necessary. But this isn't a hockey game. We're going to do enough of those in the next 12 months to be able to tell those stories. Lane United, great throw in, handled quickly by Dominic Zator, number 4. Dean Northover, one of the newest additions. Yvonne Northover plays for the women's team. She had a big part of the game last night. Nico Pasquati here on the near side now to the camera. Tried to go all the way across. Tofa Fakunle, the left winger, couldn't find that ball.
Yeah, I swung that over his target there. A little too much heat from Pasquati. Shadows getting long here at Foothills Composite High School. Still scoreless. 48 minutes played.
We're not going to see any precipitation in the next 45 minutes, I imagine. Mother Nature's saving it all for tomorrow, from what we've heard. Willie Spur, number 10, will kick it back out. Matthias Binder, one of the center midfielders. Casey Chubfordall, left fullback, brings it up. Nick Moon and Anthony Macchione got pieces of that ball, and it'll be the first corner of the matchup for Lane United.
Well, you said it, David. It's not a bad first half from Lane. You've surrendered a few more chances, not a ton, but you come into the second half even.
I think they'll take it. Matthias Binder will send it through once again. Oh, tried to kick it back in the first direction and no luck.
That header just too high off the mark.
It's easier when I do basketball, Ryan. They've got numbers on both sides of their jerseys. 12, Casey Chupfordall got a piece of that ball and couldn't slant it back. Here we go again, Foothills. 4-1-1 on the season. Great effort by Chupfordall there, but Calgary maintains possession. Camargo dealing with Binder. Cross through. Zeeby playing with that yellow. Nice clearance by Lane United, forcing Calgary to start all the way back at the back.
Hey, come on, guys, let's go.
Glorious chance for Zebi there. Just couldn't convert.
Waterman and Zator, your center backs. Adekube takes a look. Maintains his center midfield position. And Calgary's starting to get a little frustrated and have to try to reorganize something and create something out of nowhere. Adekube sending it all the way through. Pasquati, 12 on 12 here. Crosses through, and once again, Paul Cruz, ready, willing, and able. Pasquati against Chupfordall on that exchange.
You can see Moses Danto not afraid to induce a little contact at any opportunity, be it between the whistles or after.
Probably the best the field conditions have been in 4.5 games here.
As you'd expect, yeah, we're further into summer.
The white jerseys are not nearly as dirty as they were in May, certainly. The laundry department's not going to have as tough of a job to do in preparation for their game on Wednesday. Nice header by Chupfordall to calm that ball down. Nick Moon couldn't handle it. And the ball will roll outside into Calgary's possession on the near side touchline. Talking to Tommy Wilden during the week, he mentioned that the Vancouver loss was more about missed chances and mistakes rather than bad fundamental play, and that they just got caught a couple of times. They were very happy to grab that penalty kick to get that one goal to make the score 2-1. As we were talking about, every goal matters here in goals for and against during tiebreakers. They know that everyone in the league is setting them as a target because of their previous success in their last 3 years, and the fact that they know that the players want to make an impression for the Cavalry FC next season. So you never know. There's maybe players from the Rovers or Victoria Highlanders who want to audition for Tommy Wilden when he gets to see them, as well as some of these own players. Of course, we don't know any of the structure of player disbursement at this point in 2019, and as you said, Ryan, the commissioner was not willing to spill the beans right now in June. But Calgary knows that when they're in first, it's added pressure, and that the other teams want to knock off the leaders. That's what happened last night. The ladies 3 for 3 prior to last night, and Colorado was at the bottom of the table and managed to draw against Calgary, so nothing to lose when you're already in the bottom, but all you can do from the top of the mountain is fall off.
Been some opportunities for Pasquati and Danto here in the second half.
Gloria Manda makes a move. Can't find his winger on the opposite side. That was Macchione in there, as well as Hernando. Macchione and Amanda have been switching sides. Initially listed as Macchione on the left and Amanda on the right, but we've seen them switch back and forth. so far in these first 54 minutes. Still no score. I don't believe there have been any scoreless draws in the Northwest Division so far this season. But when it comes to that other sport we cover, Ryan, I've seen some 0-0 games that have been tremendously exciting.
Yeah, I don't think entertainment value is simply looking at how many goals are scored. You nailed that.
Nick Moon, number 9, trying to cut through. Does a great job rounding a couple of players, but Dominic Zator easily knocked that one away, not having to bother Carducci. But a nice run there by Nick Moon to get the outside edge and put the ball forward.
Yeah, Zator got a leg on that and caromed off towards the left side of the Foothills net.
Lane United with the vast majority of the pressure here in the second half. The wind has calmed down from the beginning, but it's still blowing right to left, as you can see on the flags. Couple of desperation headers there. The player goes down, sort of incidental contact, so the referee's whistle does not blow. And Moses Danto is going to clear just to escape. Calgary might have a man-on-man advantage here. Pasquati, if they can get fast enough across. Too much for Fakunle and Danto on the other side. Calgary almost creating something out of nothing there on the opposite end.
Pasquati and Danto coming in with even numbers. That's something Foothills will take their chances with all day, all night. That was a really good opportunity, just missing on the cross. A little too tall for Danto was that.
3 versus 3 on that play, and a quick transition from almost giving up a goal on the other side. There's a collision.
Danto
and it's
down again.
And nobody from Lane United is pleased with the referee at this point, because they were sure that Danto was the cause of that collision.
He was going hard towards the box, and contact brought him down. So whether he induced it or sold it, certainly there's a Lane player right there in the mix, and that's what drew the foul.
And they want to keep quiet here because they don't want to draw a yellow card for unsportsmanlike conduct. We've seen that at this field here. It's not as much the collisions, but the chatter afterwards that's drawing the ire of these referees.
Second free kick for Danto. We saw one stopped earlier by Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz not all that busy here in the first 12 minutes of the second half. It's like a 4-man wall here.
The referee's just making sure we've got an appropriate distance here between the wall of Lane United, and here's Danto.
Moses Danto, big save. Paul Cruz once again around the wall, and Cruz had to come up big.
That's twice Danto's beaten the wall, and twice the Cruz has been equal to the challenge.
For the World Cup, I wonder if they're going to bring back that dissolving shaving cream that they used in 2014. That was a fun element. Moses Danto. There's the call that Lane's been waiting for as he takes down Connor Ramlow with a forearm to the back.
He's such a physical player. He doesn't mind contact, and when he's got the ball, by all means.
Lane doesn't want to waste any time setting anything up, because right now Carducci, great job to save that corner opportunity, and Calgary will calm down the pace. Waterman and Zator, the center backs. Waterman without his normal defensive partner, Jonathan Wheeldon. That one cut off by Connor Ramlow, and sent all the way back to the halfway line.
That was Haynes way up there with an opportunity, but back to midfield. Still no substitutions, curiously, with an hour off the clock here in moments.
Dominic Zator, along with Northover, closest to us on the camera side. Looking for Danto. In a good battle with 26, Charlie Spur. Danto will win that battle. And cut off by Lane, which will create a corner kick. I think for the first time in the home season from this far right corner. Rob, do you think so? Yeah. The irony of the game. 60 minutes gone here. Guys running around trying to get in position. They'll cut it short. Tofa Fakunle stopped up by Ramlo and clearing it is Spur. Winning the race is Glory Amanda. Up to Nick Moon. We've seen goals come from unexpected situations and very calm play in earlier games, so and something can come from anything at this point. Gerard Hernando. Back to Stadler. Stadler and Ramo, the center back line for Lane United. And play calms down for the moment. Uh-oh, Calgary getting a bit sloppy here. Could be a chance. Cut through and just past the left post. Macchione, same thing that happened to women last night, Ryan, just a little bit of sloppy play between the goaltender and the center backs, and that almost cost Foothills FC there.
Yeah, the defenders just a few too passes too many in traffic.
It's a Saturday night in Okotoks. We thank you very much for joining us here. Whether you're supporting Lane United or Foothills FC or just a casual friend from somewhere else in North America, we thank you very much for joining us here. Macchione, too far for him. Gave it a good chase. And we start anew. Atakube will kick it back to Marco Carducci, and we do have our first substitution of the game. Looks like number 13, Mamadi Kamara, will join the action. Try to create something new in the forward area. And Danto takes another man down, Ryan.
We talked about his physicality. He is an absolute bull to deal with for defenders.
As you can see, Kamara ready to come into the contest. Be a free kick for Lane United. And it'll be sent all the way down. Chasing is Nick Moon. And he can't come up with it. Calgary ball.
Or say a throw-in rather than allow the keeper the ball.
Foothills FC substitution, leaving the game number 17, Tofa Fakunle. Entering the game, number 13, Mamadi Kamara.
Kamara on that left wing, forward line. And Calgary in their deep defensive zone. Going to throw the ball in. The battle of the 12s continues. And Camargo had a bit of contact by Binder on his neck, and they blow that play down. And the foul on Binder.
Kamara's a big man. That gives them a little more height up front here for the...
Yeah, certainly on set plays. You're absolutely right.
Final 25 minutes.
That one off the leg of So as we said, Lane will be in Portland on Thursday and the Sounders on Sunday. Lane United fans, your next home opportunity is Friday, June 22nd, when the Portland Timbers visit Les Schwab Sports Park as part of a 4-game homestand for Lane United, starting on the 22nd, the 29th, July 1st, and July 6th. Bruno Zeeby trying to make something happen in a crowd. However, it gets spread out and sent out. Our next home game here is going to be on June 23rd, 2 weeks from today, for Foothills FC. TSS Rovers, Game 3 of that 3-game series. That's going to be very, very important. Of course, we got the women tomorrow afternoon at 4, and then Friday at 6:30.
Now, standings will change week to week, but you do get the sense that game against the Rovers will loom large in the overall shape and scheme of the standings in the Northwest Division. Absolutely. That's why
Calgary would like to take 3 here from Lane rather than 1 and not have to rely on TSS possibly dropping points in their contests this weekend. Of course, that game on Friday night, TSS Rovers will host Foothills FC. Have to catch the archive on YouTube Live because I'll be doing the women's game next Friday night. That'll be a nice double to come home to. It's not like I won't be watching 3 World Cup games on Friday after that or before that, so it's going to be a pretty soccer-heavy weekend. 1 on Thursday, 3 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and 3 more on Sunday. So it starts in earnest this weekend in Russia. Blocked in front, knocked down smartly by the defense. And Joel Waterman, the king of the D so far, he's had an exceptional performance. 66 minutes into the matchup. What better than, after watching 3 soccer games, than to call a soccer game next Friday night?
Just by osmosis, you'll start getting a British accent.
That's here. Right. Well, I'll be taking notes because those guys, a lot of those World Cup games, guys do by themselves. So believe me, Ryan, you're doing a tremendous pleasure for me by being here tonight. I don't know how those guys can do it by themselves, but I guess we'll find out here over the next month.
68th minute, Lane calling for a hand there.
Looked like it went off the right arm of Dominic Sator, but he kept going and didn't sell it.
Yeah, it was right by his thigh, too. It might have clipped his leg, not his hand.
Kamara trying to make an impact. Out to Elijah Atakube. Jordan Haynes in there as well, along with Dean Northover. From the near side all the way to the far side. Kamara. Left footer in. And it's loose in front. Cleared away by Lane very quickly. Northover will try to continue the pressure, however. A bit of a fumble there between the D and the goaltender, Paul Cruz. Pasquati will cut in.
Off the side of the net. Yeah, Cruz had come up and caught that ball, rising above all the heads of the defenders and forwards for Foothills. Had the ball, came back down, and seemed to lose the handle as he stumbled into his own defender. That led to a loose ball in tight.
Right in that 6-yard goal mouth. Aggressive header there changes the momentum there for a moment. And a second one. Dean Northover's going to need some Advil, I think, after this one. And Coach Wilden showing some fancy footwork. Of course, he played for the old Calgary Storm here in Calgary in 2001 in an old incarnation of what the PDL was 17 years ago. Fell in love with the city and the country and met a Calgary lady. 17 years and 2 kids later, he's a Canadian citizen and coaching this team.
Good opportunity here.
Into the sunshine.
Didn't get it high enough. Biscotti couldn't clear the few defenders to find his own white shirts in the box.
Northover been very busy here in this last couple of minutes. And Calgary will restart the action with a throw-in on the far side, right in front of the paying crowd. Connor Ramlow has looked good on that right defensive position, clearing everything he's seen so far tonight. The Spurs have been a little quiet here in the second half, 10 and 26. Keep those numbers in mind. Lane United without a substitution so far. As we've very loudly been told, we've hit the 70-minute mark. And Calgary player pulled down, looked like Kamara. And they quickly resume the action here. This is Kamara. Adekube was brought down. Calgary looking for a play as to who's ruled as possession here, and it's going to be a corner. And once again, it'll be Camargo's job to bring it in. 0-0. No score here. Very entertaining 70 minutes, but the goaltenders have come up big. Going to be a cross, punched away. Camargo tried to recover the rebound and reset it rather than taking the throw in. Another lob, cleared away smartly by Nick Moon. Northover will throw it in for the third chance. How about a fourth try? That one caught up by the wind for sure. Calgary still maintaining, however. Pasquati, kick out. Northover. There's a clever play. But Lane United takes it away.
Yeah.
And there's a big cover. Boy, Northover's been tremendous here on the near side here in the second half. But quite a sequence there for Calgary, starting with the corner kick. Now the pressure pendulum has seemed to have swung in Calgary's favor.
And they'll get a throw in here, deep in Lane United territory. The best chance of those three, probably the ball taken on a short hop. It blasted way up in the air, not the contact Foothills was looking for, and that one hung up in the air and allowed for more possession for the home side.
Wheeldon has talked about how they can play a short game or a long game on throw-ins and set pieces. They want to keep the opponents guessing. That's going to be a medium throw, and once again, Ramlow, this defensive four for Lane has been extremely solid, Ryan. Going in the other direction, looking for glory, and Amanda's got it. Sending it across to the opposite wing, Willie Spur, number 10. Spur trying to make a move, cutting through on the line, maintains, but well done by Jordan Haynes to clear that one away. To the left of the goaltender.
Foothills there to win the ball.
Yeah, Lane's defensive four have been very, very solid so far.
Well, that was a reputation coming in. This is a team that could sit back and defend well and withstand pressure in waves, and they've done that.
Referee's going to restart the action here. As you said, the shadows are long, but the sun is bright on that far side of the field right now. Kicked through, goalie will chase. Great job by Paul Cruz, but I think his right knee is giving him a lot of trouble right now. I think there was a bit of collision there between him and a Foothills FC player who's also Pasquati, who's also limping a tiny bit.
They're going to call for a trainer here. They both went for that ball, and Cruz won the ball, which meant there wasn't going to be a Foothills attempt into an empty cage, but it also meant big collision there and a bit of contact.
Yeah, about a half second later, Pasquati, who you can see his number almost covered in dirt right now.
They both hit the deck there.
Yeah, exactly. About a half second later, that collision.
No, Cruz is going to stay in there. With the Pasquati moving gingerly, Cruz back to his feet and at the top of the box. We'll resume play with both players still active.
Give us a chance to give you our player spotlight for tonight. Elijah Adekube, a very skilled midfielder that was named in the PDL's top 50 prospects for 2016. Ability to control the game from the central position and very composed on the ball. After a great 2016 season, he suffered a ruptured Achilles that ruled him out of the entire 17 season, but is now back to full fitness and hungry to make a statement. Former vice captain of the PDL team in 2016, Elijah is a phenomenal personality and homegrown Calgary Foothills Academy product. Your player spotlight for tonight, June the 9th, here between Calgary Foothills FC and Lane United.
Here's Danto with a great opportunity, heads it over. Piscotti with it now.
Piscotti trying to go all the way around, and the inside track allows Lane United to knock the ball away, but once again, it'll be a a corner kick for Sergio Camargo.
And that neglected corner has now got 3 in a row for Foothills FC, as you pointed out earlier, David.
Cut in, looking for Camargo's height. Oh, what a great clearance. Couple of quick tries as Cruz was out of position, but his defenseman covered the edge. Looked like Stadler got a piece of it, number 3. And Calgary's pushing and pushing, Ryan. 75 minutes in, they have to continue this pressure.
Another great chance off that corner there. Wow. You noted it. Cruz was not in a position to make that save, and it was headed off the line by a defender.
Sergio Diaz, number 7, is going to join the action here.
First substitution for Lane United on the way.
And he will take out number 14, Gerard Hernando. So Diaz in for Hernando in the midfield.
Substitution of the game, number 14, Gerard Hernando. Into the game, number 7, Sergio Diaz. We'd like to thank our sponsors, without whom this season would not be possible.
Bit of a trade back here. They were looking for Camargo's height. You mentioned it, Ryan. They just couldn't finish it off.
The energy life cycle. Petrotrans, providing innovative solutions for the
Mamadi Camara, along with
for all your Foothills apparel.
Moses Danto.
Rogers Insurance, one of Canada's
When he scored his first goal in a home game, that meant that he got to drive Coach Wielden's car for a while. Who knows how long, but a little bet they had between them. Of course, the next game, Danto got 2 goals. Maybe he got it for the whole weekend.
He might own the thing by the end of the season.
He may very well. He is leading Foothills FC in goal scoring and is in one of the top leaders in the Premier Development League. Sergio Camargo, who's had a lot of chances, just hasn't been able to get paid off himself or pay off a teammate with his assists. Working hard here. 77 gone in this matchup. The Foot Soldiers supporters group trying to spur on their team here to find that single goal that might finish this game off. Continuing along, Glory Amanda, 21, does not keep it in. The official disagrees and rules it in favor of Calgary Foothills FC. So are you having fun, Ryan? Are you enjoying yourself?
Need a goal here, David. See 3 points tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm green here. Just trying to pick up some nuances of this Northwest Division and the Foothills FC squad.
Well, you talked about the World Cup and the English accents. If you have a chance, listen to the World Cup with the English radio commentary. You'll enjoy it. They'll talk about lots of different things. Cutting across Piscotti. Camara, what can he do? Knocked away smartly by Diaz just for the moment. Camara regroups, however. Cuts it through. They were ready to cut off Danto, but that one's going to go wide. Coming close was once again Camargo. But doing everything but scoring. Kamara had a great sequence there.
Yeah, and it looks like that did go off the goalkeeper Cruz because it's being moved towards the corner by Foothills, and they've got the ball. That's an excellent diving save to his left from Cruz, who's had a few big stops tonight, and suddenly reminiscent of our last home broadcast against Timbers. Excellent net money in that contest as well.
Camargo, and he fed it in for Kamara, and that one a field goal, but not a soccer goal. Yeah, if you listen to the English radio broadcasters, especially when England's playing, they'll tell you things were horrible, that was a terrible decision. Yeah, pick up TSN radio, cover yours for a moment, Ryan, but yeah, TSN radio will have all the radio broadcasts of the World Cup, along with CTV's coverage of all the matches, along with TSN TV, and of course Fox and Telemundo have all the coverage in the U.S. for our American friends. Fox and FS1, of course. Kamara, surrounded by red, breaks through, only for the moment, however, but continues pressing. And Kamara doing pretty much everything Tommy Wilding could have asked. That's some nice pressure there. Tiring out 4 defenders, having to handle him on his own. This is Nick Moon's chance. Dealing with Northover. And stolen away. Nico Pasquati covering on the back end, and he's taken down. What side of the white line did that occur on, however?
Well, it's going to be a card here, I would think, for Lane.
It is a card as Atakube gets a little bit more involved.
2 yellows and a red from the referee here.
Oh boy, we talked about it before. Nick Moon has been yellowed and red here. One for the incident, Ryan, and the second for the complaint. 81-30 gone in this match, and we may have found our turning point.
No, we'll see. Certainly Lane they'll be under a lot of stress defensively if Foothills gets to do what they want.
You got to keep quiet. You got to just accept what the referee says and keep your thoughts to yourself. Of course, when I played 100 years ago, I was not the referee's best friend.
No, it's a costly mistake, though. I mean,
Lane United, yellow cards. 2 yellow cards. Number 9, Nick Moon, equals 1 red card.
And now we'll have a substitution here. He wants it later.
Well,
number 31.
All right, you've got a manpower advantage here for Foothills FC. It's time to get pressure and take advantage, right?
They got a 9-minute power play. And this is Kamara. Pulled down. Perhaps some incidental contact with Charlie Spur. And Marco Carducci will calm the play down. Calgary in the sunshine. Once again, trying to feed Kamara. They were looking mostly in the center, Ryan, in the first half, but now they're relying on the left wing here of Kamara and the right wing of Pasquati to possibly feed to rather than feed from.
A foul called on Foothills in the box for Lane, so they'll take over possession. Here's that substitution you alluded to, David. Into the action will be Hassani Dotson. He wears 31 for Lane United. And coming off now, his night done, Anthony Macchioni.
Macchioni with some great chances in the first half has been extremely quiet in the second half.
Hassani Dotson, 31 in for 11.
Dotson and Amanda, the strikers. Of course, we've seen players rotate left to right and forward and backward all night long for both teams, depending on the situation. Kicking it through, looking for Danto. A little bit too high for him. Adekube trying to cover in the center. Does well. And what a half for Dean Northover. I can't stop talking about how well he's played here. And the referee blows the whistle.
There's going to be a little chat here from the officials. Northover as well as Matthias Binder.
Coming into the game, Sam Engley. Referee rules no advantage, but Lane United with the ball. And the rather tall and limber Sam Engley ready to come into the game. That one way ahead of Sergio Diaz, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah, we saw Foothills with a bunch of those in the first half going the same direction, and the wind has picked up a bit in that far corner. As you can see, that flag especially active at this moment.
Still right to left. That has not changed throughout these 85 minutes. Looks like Calgary ready to make a change as well. Willie Akio may be joining us in. Pasquati will cut across. He's spent so much time on those sidelines trying to work something into the center on both sides of the field.
Yeah, he's had a tough time getting those balls in. He's been on that right flank, as you know, a ton this evening, but unable to connect with Danto, who's been looking for most of the night.
Those baseline drives to the center, just like in basketball. Another sport that's done for the year.
I thought it was done 2 weeks ago, huh?
Yeah, it pretty much was. But I couldn't do what he did with a broken hand for 3 games. That was pretty impressive. Coming out for Lane United is Matthias Binder. Coming in, number 29, Sam Engley.
It's quite the echo you've got, David.
I know, eh? So I'm glad. All right, Calgary's going to start us off again here. Willie Akio will join the action in a moment or two. 87 on the big board. Calgary trying to slow it down, trying to create what's going to happen next, but Northover has that one go past him. Pasquati watched that ball roll past. And here is the change. Camargo substituted out for Willie Akio.
Number 16, Sergio Camargo. Into the game, number 19, Willie Akio.
Akio, the center midfielder, normally the spot held by Nick Ledgerwood, of course, injured and not available tonight. Already looking to take advantage of that height. 429 for Sam Engley for Lane United. No score here. Still time on the board. We'll see in a moment or two how much is going to be added.
89th minute right now.
Calgary does not want a single point in this matchup. As we said, they want to dictate the pace against TSS Rovers, not react to what the Rovers do. And this would also be the first game of the season without a goal by Foothills, win or loss or draw. And I know that they want to score in every game. That's for sure.
A few minutes to switch the script here if they'd like.
Jordan Haynes watches that one go by, but well done by Joel Waterman to cover.
Handball.
Both.
Yeah, they caught it too.
So did everybody in the crowd. 89 on the board.
This just outside of the penalty box here. Excuse me, penalty box.
Penalty area.
Thank you.
18 yards
It's all these Paul
from
Cruz references.
from the end line. Yeah, it's June. We shouldn't be talking about that. I should be the only ice I should be around is in my glass. Not until October. Couple of bounces. Calgary maintains. Zator kicking it out to Atakube, sending it back in.
A lot of contact in there.
Pasquale got hit from behind. Ramlo was down also. And Calgary wants to reorganize. We are just about at 90 here. No indication from the fourth official quite yet.
15
and the referee
seconds left on the clock, and a Lane United player down back in the box.
There were two separate incidents, one from Pasquale involving him and one from Connor Ramlo, and he's been down since that moment or two, and the referee noticed and wants a trainer to come out. Well, maybe not. Connor just needs a moment or two to get himself resettled. Calgary at the center dot.
Hey, let's go forward. Sammy, guys, forward.
Technically needing to be touched by Lane. As to who had possession before the injury was blown down. Trying to create something out of nothing here for Foothills FC. Zeeby. Well read by Willie Spur to cut that across. Sam Engley will send it all the way out. And Carducci hasn't been that busy. They very much limited the shots in that 2-0 win in Seattle, each team only having 3 saves. Of course, Calgary had 2 additional goals. Paul Cruz has been all over the place tonight. That's the second time he's come out of his 6-yard box.
It's been a busy night for the Lane netminder, to be sure, but he's been rock solid for them.
Calgary, don't forget, they have a man advantage here. Have not been able to take advantage of it. 11 versus 10 right now, thanks to the red cards from Nick Moon. I think based on that factor, Ryan, Lane would be extremely happy with a scoreless draw here. However, Gloria Amanda wants to change that. Four minutes will be added. I don't know if the fourth official has actually indicated it to the audience, but we can see it from here. And the ball right near that flag, which for the first time in 90 minutes has calmed down. Calgary here with the next chance. Trying to not go home with a scoreless draw here, especially with this man advantage. Carducci out of the 18-yard penalty area for the first time. They definitely have the numbers from the offensive third towards the net, and they don't have a lot of time to play with anymore.
You could feel the tension, both benches getting very vocal. Final seconds of play here could determine whether it's 3 points or 2 awarded.
Joel Waterman, part of it, another loose ball, another block, and there's the height that Engley provided, but once again, another clearance from the D as Cruz got in trouble again. How about it? No luck for Zeeby on his help from Kamara. Kamara could have maybe taken that himself, but dropped it off for Bruno. And now Amanda, surrounded by 3 men, just wants to kill some clock. Zator taking it away, and this is a mad sprint now for Foothills. They know they don't have any time to waste. Northover into Kamara. Cross. It's there. Pasquale. No luck. Great block shots again. Waterman, what can he do? Atakube, angling it in. A simple header. No trouble for Paul Cruz.
That's another.
And that's
save.
your ball game, folks.
There it is.
Wow. Tremendously entertaining matchup, Brian. I enjoyed that a lot. No goals for the first time for Foothills FC. Their record goes to 4-1-2. Lane United still at 500, 2-2-2.
2 yellows.
Paul Cruz, sensational in this contest. Numerous saves. He would be player of the game if you'd asked me to come up with one. No question. The difference on this night. Now, he had the opportunity to make a lot of saves because he faced a lot of shots, unlike Carducci, but his performance crucial for a single point for Lane United, who come into Foothills.
Of course, what a lot of the discussion in the dressing room and during the training week before Wednesday will be is about that 15 minutes of 11 versus 10 action that Foothills FC could not take advantage of, and why they're not walking away with 3 points and why they're not walking away with a goal scored for the first time in 2018. Ryan, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. I think it was our best broadcast of the season, and it's just starting to, we're only halfway home. It can only get better from here.
Yeah, we'll see how Foothills responds. Those 3-game road trips could be season defining, and a big trip coming up next week. We'll chat on the other side of that. Fascinating to see what will transpire in the standings between now and then in that Northwest Division that's been so hotly contested this season.
Foothills FC at Seattle Wednesday, at TSS Rovers Friday, at Victoria Highlanders Sunday. For the Lane United fans, at Portland Timbers on Thursday the 14th, and at Sounders FC in Seattle on June 17th. So both teams on the road next week. For the home fans, for Foothills fans, for the men, we'll see you here in a couple of weeks for the next home broadcast, and we'll see you here for the ladies at Soccer Center in the Hurricane tomorrow. Ryan, be glad you're not having to deal with that one. Okay, thank you very much for everybody on behalf of all of us at Foothills FC. We thank you very much for tuning us in, either live or on the archive, and follow us on social media. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. See you later.